Namaste to one and all out there, whether it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening or good night. So this is going to be our first episode and episode 1 of Tell Me Appa. I call it as Life in a Gurukula because he was brought up in a kind of a Gurukula when he was young. So before we start, I'll give a small introduction for few of you who may not know. So we have with us Yogacharya Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani, who was born on 16th April 1972 to the world famous yoga team of Yoga Maharishi Dr. Swami Geethananda Giri Guru Maharaj and Yogacharini Puduvai Kalaimamani Yogamani Srimati Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani at Pondicherry, South India. He was a topper in his school and top student in his medical college, including a gold medal in community medicine. He has vast knowledge in yoga and is the presently director at Mahatma Gandhi Medical College, Sri Balaji Vidyapith University, Cited, and is the chairman of Yoganjali Natyalayam and Ananda Ashram ICYR International Center for Yoga Education and Research. He is also the Madathipadi of Sri Kamdiswami Madam. He has had great achievements. Recently, just to name one, received DSc, that's the Doctor of Science, which is one of the highest award from S. Vyasa University, Bangalore in 2019. So now, I'll begin with my first question. So, episode 1 of Tell Me Appa, Life in a Gurukula. You were born and brought up in a Gurukula in South India. Unlike us modern children, you did not have to do homework or take exams. Only at the age of 13, you were put in a boarding school in Kodaikanal. Yet today, you are a medical doctor, author of scores of books, a well-known public speaker, and invited all over the world to teach and lecture. How is this possible?
I think the very first question from you, Divya, is a question that hits the nail on the head, because I think what we need to understand is that the so-called modern education is not the end-all and be-all of life. Life is the best school. And when we start to learn in the school of life, every moment of our life becomes a learning experience. And I believe in the principle that the day we stop learning is the day we stop living. So the day we stop learning is the day we stop living. So we are learning every moment. Now, as a young kid in the Ananda Ashram at Sri Kamdiswami Madam, definitely I didn't have homework, as you said, because I didn't go to a regular school. But at the same time, it's not that I was not educated, because in the ashram, Ammaji, your grandmother, my mother, Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani, she used to teach me English. I had one of my father's students, Renu Kaka, who was a mathematics professor. She used to teach me mathematics. I had different Tamil teachers like Ranganathan sir, who's on Facebook also many times with us, Dhanashekaran sir, who sometimes is on Facebook with us. And more than anything, I was exposed to the Tamil culture, the Indian music, through Puduvai V. Manikannan, who taught me the singing, Mangalanatha Gurukul, who taught me the Sanskrit chanting, the Vedic chanting, and side by side had all the yoga, the dance, the music going on. So I think one thing which I escaped, and I often like to tell my friends that I say I escaped pre-KG, LKG, UKG, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So that is 9 years. So basically, if you look at it, I escaped 9 years of regular schooling that all of you kids have to go through. Though you also were special because you directly jumped into first standard. Okay, so we saved Divya, pre-KG, LKG, UKG. So 3 years we saved you. With your brother, we had to put him into UKG, so we saved him 2 years. Because what I feel is, when I went to school, I went at the age of 13, a bit older, but that is good because the more older you are, a bit more mature you become. But I went in to 7th standard straight. I should have gone to 8th, But they said you have not been to regular school before, so there's no transfer certificate, paperwork is not there. And so Padma Bhushan C. Subramaniam, who was a good friend of Swamiji and Ammaji, suggested I go to Bhavans Gandhi Vidyashram. So what happened is that by the time I went to school, I was enthusiastic in 7th standard to learn, whereas most of my fellow classmates were already tired of school because they had been there for 9 years. So I say I escaped the tyranny of modern education for 9 years, and that is why I love Albert Einstein. Because Einstein also had trouble in school. I didn't have trouble in school, but he had trouble with school and the modern education. And Einstein made a statement that I resonate with. He said, the only thing that interferes with my intelligence is my education. So, I think definitely I have pity on all of you young kids who have to go to school. You have to study from morning to night, go through homework, go through schoolwork, and nowadays so many exams that actually at the end of the day do not really mean much. But they are a good system of developing a methodology. So I do not demean the educational system, but I think one needs to understand it has both the positives and the negatives.
Okay, so that was really a fascinating and nice reply from you. I think people out there might have learned some secret maybe. I brought out a secret to you maybe that you didn't know. So the second question, I'm combining the second and third question. What is your opinion of the type of education that we, your children, myself and my brother Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani, are now undergoing? What is your suggestion to us as we pursue our professional objectives?
Well, this is a tough one because I have just told you that educational system is not so good, and then you have asked me this question, so that's a bit naughty. But at the same time, as I said, I believe that the present educational system can give us the capacity to learn how to arrange things. So definitely I feel that the educational system you have gone through, both at Primrose and now at Vidya Niketan, where you have completed your 12th and he is now just coming into his 10th, thanks to the all pass that happened because of COVID-19. So now suddenly he is in 10th. And 10th is a big disease in India. 10th and 12th is a communicable disease worse than COVID-19. Hide the kids away from everybody else because they have a contagious infectious disease, 10th and 12th disease. But leaving the jokes apart, what I have found is that the educational system, especially when there are good teachers, and you have been blessed that both in Primrose and Vidya Niketan you have had some good teachers. And again, it's not that if you have 20 teachers in your school, all will be good. That is not possible any place, no place in life. And in school, I was lucky that we had many good teachers. So what I realized is, if you have a good teacher who loves the subject, who loves teaching and loves the kids, you are going to get that enthusiasm for it. And this is something which is very, very important. And just for example, the way your French teacher, Monsieur, how he has, Jivanandam sir, how he has given that great interest to the young children. Because you took up French when?
Only like in the half of 9th.
I think around the 9th standard you took up.
Yes.
And yet in your 10th, in your 11th,
I got 99
you
and
got 99.
I will get 99 in 12th.
That's my girl. Why not 100? Because they don't give 100. Okay, that's the thing. But the thing is that enthusiasm that came. And I think this is very important because when I look back at my schooling also, why do I love maths the way I love it? Because Renukaka gave me that love for maths. I had amazing maths teachers. Even Ravichandran sir, who was our maths teacher and became our vice principal, he is also on Facebook. So if you are listening, sir, I really thank you for that interest in maths that I had. And we had an amazing, most amazing woman, Premila Akka. And Premila Akka, she was my first principal, my last principal, because the only school I went to was Bhavans Gandhi Vidyashram. So the first and last principal basically for me. And then after that we had other principals. We had Srinivasan sir, we had Mishra sir and all. But she was the first one when I joined. And what I realized is the education is basically a structure. As Ammaji, your grandmother, Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani says, instruction has a structure. So the school is a structure in which we can learn certain life lessons. We can learn to organize ourselves. We can learn to streamline our thought process. So despite all the negativities that are there are the positivities that it does prepare you to express yourself. Now the danger is the danger where the focus on marks comes in. Where if you don't get marks, you are not a good student. If you get marks, you are a good student. I think what we need to realize, there can be a student who gets very good marks and is very good. There can be a student who gets very good marks and still doesn't know anything. And there can be somebody who knows everything and doesn't get marks. So it is not that, like in your case, you have been able to get marks also, but you also understand the subject and you can express it. But it's not that everybody who gets marks. When I joined medical school, we had kids who had 96, 97 in English. And they couldn't speak 4 lines in English. You should look at the answer papers. They couldn't express themselves. So then what is this 97, 98 in English when you cannot do it? So I think what is the danger is not so much the system, but the stress given on marks, the stress given on memory. This is the difference between our system and the Western. Because in our system, what happens, you are expected to remember. I remember in one of your lessons, I think it was a French lesson where you had to translate in 10th. And there was this tour guide. Yes, was that 10th or 11th?
10th standard, I think.
And they wanted to go and they said, and you had to memorize the phone number.
Yeah.
You had to memorize the phone.
About 5 phone numbers in a whole French book, and we would get one question.
And one of the questions in French, which is language, would be on a phone number. What is the contact number of the travel agent? Now, for God's sake, what does that have to do with learning French? That is just testing your memory, which has nothing to do with the subject. So I think it is not that the system is bad, but the stress is on sort of the wrong things. Like there should be questions about your experience. And that is where I think whenever those questions come, what do you think about it? How in your own words you express it. I think that is a very important part of education. So what I would in baseline say is modern education is like modern food. Modern education is like modern food. It has proteins, it has it has the carbohydrates and it has the fats, but it seems to be missing the vitamins and the minerals. But at Yoganjali Natyalayam, because you are getting the yoga, you are getting the dance, you are getting the music, it is like you get that vitamin and minerals that you so need as long as you want to be healthy, plus the water, which is the hydration. So I feel that if the modern education is supplemented with a cultural education, which you have been lucky, both you and your brother, because of Yoganjali Natyalayam, and me because of Kambleswami Madam, we have been lucky that unlike the other kids who only had the modern education, we have also had the supplementary education. So I think if you have both, it can bring out that best quality which is called a wholesome humanity, which is Purana Purusha.
So about the suggestion to us as we pursue our professional objectives.
Yeah. This suggestion to you, yes, I did not address that, and maybe the subconscious part of me was trying to skip that question, because when it comes to your own kids, it is very tough at times because subjectivity comes in and objectivity goes for a toss out the window. So I think the main suggestion I would say is that be true to your heart. It is not about you living somebody else's life. It's not about you living somebody else's dream. But you living what feels right to you. Pursuing a higher education, especially higher education, should be something that you love, a subject that you love, and a subject in which you can then reach out and help others. Because ultimately it's not about getting a job, but it's about how you can help others. So I think when it comes to higher education especially, to realize that we need to go for something that fulfills us Now the problem is, for that you need to think a bit, and sometimes when kids are young, you may not be able to yet realize it, and that is why the parents like to say, oh, we know what is best for you. But I think it is important to understand that we need to have a sense of fulfillment in our life, and that means that we need to go for those studies, those training programs that will enable us to express ourselves and help others. Because what I have seen again at Yoganjali is that one of the major issues has been many of the kids have gone into courses, higher education, that they didn't really want to do. I think one of the best examples, one of the best examples of that is what happens with engineering. And that for some reason engineering is a craze, and so everybody goes into engineering. And then after that they start to say, now what do I want to do in life? Now the thing is that 4 years of engineering gives them training that is very useful. But then the question comes, could they have been doing something else that they loved in that time? I know of kids who wanted to become lawyers, having to become engineers. People who wanted to be a doctor, becoming an engineer, and engineering become... And I know of wonderful people who are wonderful teachers, but for the sake of economic security, go and get a clerical job in the bank. So here, you are an amazing teacher. You can teach because that is your love. But yet, for the economic stability, you have to take up a job. So I think what we need to understand is to balance the fact we need to have enough job security, economic security, but the most important will be, are we fulfilling ourselves? So if this we keep in mind and then we go into higher education, we will fulfill ourselves and we'll be able to fulfill our dharma towards humanity.
Well, I think that's enough for the first episode. I think we might have gone a little long, but so we'll be coming up soon, and we will let you know when the next episode will be coming up, and each episode will have a different title, but the main one is Tell Me Appa, so don't forget that. So we'll be back to you soon, and if you have any questions, do remember to send it to me, my account Susan Falcon on Facebook. So thank you, have a nice day, hope you enjoyed this session.
Thank you so much for being with us, and meet you again whenever it is, as soon as possible.